In today's episode, we have Rich Cardona joining us to talk about brand fitness and interviewing C-suite executives, coming right up. Hi, my name is Tony Morrow, and this is Getting to Hire, the show that's helping you, the military member, successfully transition from your military career to your new civilian one. In today's episode, we are speaking with Rich Cardona, a brand fitness expert and a man who interviews C-suite executives as a part-time gig. But without further ado, let me introduce the man himself. Rich Cardona, welcome to the show.
What is going on, dude? We've gone in circles trying to get this done. I appreciate your patience so much, but I'm so happy to be here, man.
Rich, I can't tell you how much I enjoy just having you on the show. We originally met up with each other at VidSummit 2018. It was an iconic moment for me because I was in the back. Gary Vaynerchuk was speaking, and you stood up and you asked a very kind of potent question that kind of stirred up the room, or at least stirred up me and some other veterans in the room. But before we kind of get into the backstory, let's understand who Rich Cardona is. So can you tell us, you're a military veteran. Can you talk to us a little bit about your military service, how long you served, what you did, and what you're doing today?
Yeah. I left for the United States Marine Corps when I was 17 years old. So, I mean, not long after I graduated high school. And that was interesting. I'm glad I made it out okay. Enlisted in the Marine Corps, went in as a private. I had a plan of doing one thing, just 4 years. Is this G-rated?
You can say whatever you like. No big deal.
Okay. So I was just a total shithead. So I'm like, I need to go and just get slapped around and fixed, get some direction and get some money for college. And I'll be out in 4 years. So I'm like, okay, that was a deal. I joined in 1998. Before 4 years, 9/11 happened. I was actually in Japan when it happened. So within a month, I re-enlisted and I just kept going, and then I actually got into a officer ascension program. And here's like a point just for the audience generally, but like I got in because I was the only dude in my battalion who applied. Like I was just like, I'll do it. I'll try. I wasn't like exceptional by any means. I was good, but not exceptional. So I got into this officer transition program, went to school, got a couple degrees in 2.5 years. And I say that, I don't mean it nonchalantly, but I just hustled, it was like, all right, here we go. Got accepted into aviation, military aviation, naval aviation, started flying Cessnas, then turboprop aircraft, then helicopters, and then finally attack helicopters. And then that was it. 17 total years. I retired early because they were offering early retirement. So, it's 20 or nothing is usually how it goes. I took an early retirement because I was in California and I knew it was only a matter of time before they're like, I had been in California for like 5-6 years. And I just knew it was a matter of time before they were just like, hey, have we got a deal for you? And here's some shithole you go hang out in for the next couple years. And I was just like, forget it. So I was getting my MBA while I was in the Marine Corps, and then I retired, and then I had that next year to kind of focus on that fully, which I didn't because I am not good in school. So yeah, that even sounds like I'm not good in school. I'm not good in school. so anyway, yeah, man. So I did that, and that was it. So I always say this, but I retired at 34. I had spent exactly half of my life in the military by the time I got out. So, but it was fantastic, man. I mean, I miss it. And I just posted the other day, like a lot of you veterans who are probably watching this, you want out so bad, so bad. Oh, I can't wait to get out. And then the longer you're out, you're like, I want back in just because like, you're just not surrounded by the same. I mean, I would argue that you're not surrounded by the same caliber people that you were used to and whatever. But yeah, man, that was my military career. Couple deployments, combat deployment, some good work, good people. And, I mean, it was shaped everything I am it shaped everything about who I am today.
And speaking about who you are today, what is it that you're doing today? You're the CEO and the founder of Flybysmedia, which is, of course, a very Top Gun title. But what is it that Flybysmedia and you yourself are doing as a brand fitness expert and interviewer of the C-suite executives
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
world.
So Flybysmedia originally started with a friend of mine who was also an aviator, and we wanted to do what you're doing, essentially interview people who've transitioned, so we could share their stories. Because I mean, like, it never gets old, and that's why this show is probably incredible value add. Because like transitioning sucks. It doesn't matter like how well you think you're prepared and all the resources you think you have. Like, and I'm going to flip this whole transition game on its ass in the next year. I promise you that. And I have plans for you to be part of it. So we wanted to do that. We had no idea what we were doing. This is right after VidSummit.
Okay.
When Gary Vee's like, take the risk. And I'm like, all right, I'm not VidSummit. This was another summit I went to that I actually asked him a question. So I always position myself right in front of that microphone. So anyway, started interviewing people. They were, man, just terrible interviews. The sound was bad. I was like, Premiere Pro? I was like, no, like there's this thing on my phone called iMovie. Like, and like, dude, it was just like completely out of control, no traction. But I did it. Eventually my friend and I kind of parted ways with it, and then I kind of took over. So now it's like mine, and now it's like I'm really rebranding it. So Flybysmedia is going to be the larger piece of the whole puzzle, which means there's a military section, and then the kind of like the C-suite section, which we talked about, and I'll talk about the military one first. What I plan to do there is just be interviewing personnel, giving live streams, veterans doing special things, just all the possible tips in the world, like no bullshit. Here's the raw, real deal of how it is. Here's my experience. Like, for example, I interviewed a guy who's like, I did everything in my power to get my military service to the bottom of my resume so people would accept me. Like that's a real thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, that's crazy. But that's important for people to hear all these different points of view so they could just really have a better approach than the kind of standard resources. So that's kind of the military aspect of it. And then Project 150 will be part of it, which we'll talk about. And then the other side is kind of Rich Cardona, serial interviewer. That just happened. I don't know, man. I reached out to Claude Silver at VaynerMedia a while ago when I was at Amazon and I was miserable, and we just started talking on LinkedIn. She's like, "You sound cool. We should talk more." I'm like, "Okay." Like, it was ridiculous. Like, I wrote like this. You ever like send someone like a really long text and then they write you back like K or something, like okay, and you're just like, "What?" Like, dude, I sent like the longest LinkedIn thing ever, trying to be this idiot Marine dude, like, hey, here's why we should talk. And she's just like, you sound cool, let's talk. I was like, okay. So we had this cool relationship. And then I went to New York after I quit my job and moved in with my in-laws, which we could talk about that as well. And I went and I was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing with videography, but it's something I want to do. I think you'd be a good subject. I'd like to follow you around, kind of document your day-to-day. And she's just like, I trust you. And I'm like, okay. Wow. So this is what changed everything, Tony. So we're in a cab on the way to this panel she's going to be on. And I'm like, so as a chief heart officer, talk to me about millennials in the workplace. I was just like asking just stupid questions, it's just like,
is this one of those classic Gary Vee moments kind of thing within the car? Like you were filming her while you were in the car?
Exactly. Okay. Like 100%. So we go, she's on the panel, get a couple like behind the scenes things. And then we're on the way back and we're in the cab and I'm not filming and we just start talking. And we start talking. Like it's an hour cab ride. We're talking about combat. We're talking about the military. We're talking about her, like her sexual orientation, and she's having a family, like all this stuff. And then we're done, and she's like, "Why weren't we filming that?" And I was like, "Ooh, got it." So my goal on the non-military side of things is to humanize CEOs and like hyper growth entrepreneurs. And I've interviewed about 39 people up to this point. And I don't talk about the business. We just talk about them. And it is so fun. And everyone is just like becomes completely unwrapped. I don't prepare questions. We just talk. And there just happens to be 3 cameras on. And I just take their life lessons and then we go from there. And that's really it. So that was a very long-winded answer, but I think it summarizes what
it's interesting to, from the sidelines, to have seen kind of your journey as you've kind of on a social media platform kind of grown, and of course watching from afar since I saw you in VidSummit. But let's walk back a little bit to, you talked about transition very briefly in the sense that, like, obviously transition was uncomfortable. But you mentioned that you worked for Amazon for a time, then you quit your job and you took this kind of entrepreneurial path. So as far as your story, that's a key piece. So can you talk a little bit about your experience in transition, what you felt about that, positive or negative, how you found yourself working at Amazon, and what drove your decision to leave Amazon and pursue what you're doing now?
Yeah, well, right before this, I was talking to the CEO of a company who might want to hire my services, and they asked me about Amazon as well. And I tried to make it a point, like, I don't mean to be disparaging, but like, I can't not be authentic, and I don't really like to sugarcoat anything. So I will get into it, but I just wanted to kind of preface with that. I try and be very matter of fact about it. So here's the deal. I'm getting an MBA, and I completely fell out of place in that class. And it was executive MBA, so I was in a class with people who've had 10 years industry experience. Ironically, there was about 5 or 6 other military personnel in there who had like vast amount of service, like lieutenant colonels, a couple majors, and whatever. And I felt like they were like light years ahead of me, like thinking on a kind of civilian level, but they were getting out or still in. And even then I felt out of place. I'm like, dude, like, I'm not learning all this stuff. And I joked about it earlier that I'm not good at school. I just can't focus, man. Like, I just can't focus. Like, I can't sit there unless I'm interested in some shit. So like statistics, like, dude, like, I'd rather just like you pull my toenails out with, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't do it. So finance, okay. Like, everything was just, even the marketing, like, I could tell you right now, whatever we learned in marketing then is completely irrelevant to how the game is now. And I mean, that was a couple of years ago. Like, you and I could talk in 1 year and the whole thing is going to be different. So like, marketing should just like not be something you learn in school. But anyway, so dude, I'm like, I need an MBA. I need an MBA. Here's a good school. I wanted to stay in California. Oh, I'm in USC. It's like, okay, the network. But I didn't have a good time in school. Like, dude, I didn't. Like, I don't know how to enjoy the experience sometimes, man, because like, I just have so many different ambitions. So everyone had a good time. It was a good experience, but ultimately I got an MBA and I accepted a job with Amazon in May 2016, exactly 5 months after I had an offer from them, and I said no. And I said no because I did not like the way they answered some of the questions I had about the New York Times article and about the culture and this and that. I was like, look, like, you guys have more Glassdoor reviews than anyone. So because of that, of course, there's just going to be a lot of unhappy hourly associate bullshit comments in there. Like, Glassdoor is like one of those really hard things to kind of gauge anything. But there were some really compelling, long-winded reviews in there from people in the position I was going to take. So fast forward to May, my wife and I are with child now, and I'm like, okay, we're, hey, Amazon, is this still good to go? They're like, yeah. And then I look through the list they gave me. I'm like, San Marcos, Texas? Like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, Google it. I'm like, that's right by Austin. Like, it's basically right there. So I'm like, okay, I could do that. New facility, go, and it sucked, man. Like, I knew right away. Everything my instincts were telling me was true, and why I had declined in the first place was exactly what I thought. Fast paced, sure. Work hard, yes. Have fun, kinda. Make a shit ton of money, yeah. You know, owned, yes. Like worked super hardcore, yes. You know, so there wasn't a lot of leadership. And I'm so big on leadership, man. Like I'm so big on leadership. And I had the general manager and assistant general manager. There's only one senior who was an Air Force guy who I really liked. He really understood the human element of things. But the general manager and the assistant general manager, who happened to be an Army vet for 4 years, I was just like, you guys suck. Like you guys fucking suck. Like all the senior leaders fucking suck, dude. Like I'm not even gonna mince words about it. Like half of the people who were in charge of me were gone within the first year. Like they just didn't have empathy. They didn't have emotional intelligence. And you know what's funny, Tony, is like Marines, sailors, whatever it is, like we have emotional intelligence, even though people think we're just like these robotic go do war if war comes type thing, you know. Like it's not like that, man. Like we understand people on a fundamentally different level than everyone else.
It's
so for me, it was
comes from those moments of crisis, the training, the stress.
Well, I mean, just and really actually caring about other people. Like you're surrounded by people you would have never met otherwise, right? So you're just so like, you're just like, I never thought like this dude from Nebraska was gonna be such an important dude in my life, you know. Like I don't know. So I was just like really disappointed. I was a complete idiot at the same time because I started making it known that I was disappointed and looking elsewhere within the company and like literally kicking and screaming like I want out, I want out. Back and forth. My reputation became terrible, but I kicked ass super hard. Like I still kicked ass. My teams were amazing. So then I got promoted. I'm like, cool. Now I have a bunch of managers to myself. So to speak, and my other manager, who we shared this humongous department. Like we just jived so well. This dude, Quasi, if you ever see this, man, you are the man. Like you are literally the best counterpart I could ever ask for. So we built this culture, which was so good, dude. Like so good. Like even if we were like losing, so to speak, and not the best performing shift, which we usually were, and very high in the robotics network as a whole, we were good. But that's all because it just was leadership development to me. I didn't truly care about what we were doing, and I didn't care if Tony ordered something and I got it to him on time. Like I just didn't care. I cared about developing leaders. So that was it, man. And then like, you know, I told you we were with Child. I took the job. So you know, that whole time I was with them, I was hardly seeing my daughter. And I'll admit this freely, dude. Like, there's more than one occasion where I freaking cried at work. Why? Because I was probably overworked, tired, stressed, wasn't working out, and I never got to see my daughter that much. Like, I hated the days where it is like 72 hours and I didn't see her. Like, my relationship with her, I kind of knew conceptually, like, it wasn't where it needed to be, but I kind of just like disguised that because I was earning for the family and we had this huge house and I had so much money. And then that was it, man. So I just got to what I call Flashpoint, which is the name of the series, you know, where I interview leaders. It was a Flashpoint, and that was it, man. Everything came to a boil, and my life has been unbelievably different ever since I walked away.
So once you hit that Flashpoint, what was the choice that you made, the direction that you took? When did that happen, and how has that progressed? You kind of touched on a little bit of how it's progressed since then, but like again, what was the Flashpoint? How did you pivot, and where have you found yourself? Like, how have you found yourself on that trajectory since?
I'm gonna say something that every veteran needs to hear is, I didn't have a plan and I didn't give a shit. And that's not how you should do it. I literally needed a shore to swim to, and that shore to swim to was my wife. And I'm like, she's like, let's move in with my parents. She's like, you're done. I'm done with this. We're going to move in with my parents and I will support us. We'll crush some debt and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, that should have worked out, but I had no idea what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to do something with photography or videos or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, dude, I just needed to breathe. Like my wife, she has a saying. She goes, "Human beings are meant to be." And I'm like, okay, so, dude, I just needed to be. And we ended up taking some Space A flights, as kind of a perk for retirees or whatever. We went to Sicily, and we had my in-laws watch my daughter for a couple of weeks. We went to Sicily, and we just kind of just went and just let go, and that was it. But my pivot was not sound because I didn't know what I was doing. And then VidSummit came along, like literally, and I was like, it's time to unfuck my shit. So ever since then,
that's a quote right there. It's time to unfuck my shit. I like that. Okay, keep going.
But ever since then, man, like I've been like a bullet out, I've been shot out of a cannon. Like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't motivated before. I was motivated before, but I just kind of got the direction I needed a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I figured out what I wanted to do, but I didn't have a plan, to answer your question, and it was certainly a little bit tough, and it was exacerbated by the fact that my wife works in kind of a sales role. So, all this commissions that we were expecting to come in, like, they weren't happening because business was slow. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of just there living with my in-laws, like, this sucks. Like, this is not cool, man. Like, I always say this, I went from 3,800 square foot house to 700 square foot basement, and we were just like on top of each other. But you know what, man, like, I now realize, like, I didn't need 90% of everything I thought I needed. And then we all got a lot closer, and now everything's good. So
you transitioned, like I say, you pivoted, you moved into like creating this Flybys media company. I saw you at VidSummit. You asked Gary V this question about leadership, and I remember, you probably remember it a little bit more accurately than I do, but I remember him basically telling you to, as Gary V is known to say, eat shit, and pursue what it is you were looking to do, which is exactly what you did. You were living in your in-laws' basement, and you pursued that. So so how about this? Why don't you tell us that VidSummit story so that we can all hear it from your perspective, and then tell us the progression from October 2018 to today.
So I will start with this. I met Brian Sellers, who you also know, on the plane going to VidSummit, and we started talking and talking and talking and talking the whole way. And it's because he commented on my Gorilla Pod that I had in my backpack as my carry-on. So I always say, the value started before I even got there. It was crazy, right? Like, we were just like talking about content and this and that and our jobs and our former jobs and what we wanted to do and all this other stuff. And it was great. So we get there. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to figure something out. Like, I really didn't know what I was doing there. So then I run into Roberto Blake. This is the day before. I'm checking in. I run into Roberto Blake. I'm like, dude, and I had my little camera and we talk. And of course I lost that. I have no idea where that is. But it was a really, really good conversation. Found out his dad was a Marine, which, So you have to talk to him at this year's VidSummit, which I just got my tickets. Did you? You better get them.
I haven't got them yet, but
early bird, dude. Early bird. So go to VidSummit, and I'm like blown away, man. Like, really. And I just was on John Lee Dumas's podcast recently, and I giving like a master class, so to speak. And one of the things was chapters was bright, shiny objects. Like, when you make this leap to whatever it is that you want to do, like, you could easily just completely screw yourself by being, ooh, this. Like, I had so many cameras and different pieces of gear that I didn't need, webinars, this, that, and I got sucked in like, oh, dude, if you order in the next 5 minutes, it's 50% off. I'm like, ah. But VidSummit was not that. And not at all. And I was just really happy. And here's what I learned first, before I even got to talk to Gary V, was the content creating community. There's not a lot of freaking divas in it. Like, everyone works hard and they support each other and they are happy to help and walk you through. Like literally, we were just talking about the platform you used. You are using for this right now because you saw them at VidSummit, you appreciated their stuff, and now you're using it. And I love this, by the way. But like, so I go learning so much. I'm like, okay, kind of getting direction. Then I tell Gary Vee, I always position myself because he's so big on Q&A. So like when he starts, I'm like, I'm getting near a microphone. like when he starts talking generally, I already talked to the dudes who were passing around the microphone. I'm like, dude, me, you know, like way before Q&A. And he's like, all right, I got you. I'm like, no, man, I'm serious. So I set up my camera, one on him, one on me. And I told him, we had a conversation a year ago that changed my life. I'm living with my in-laws. And I was like, and it sucks. He goes, no, it's good. No, it's good. And then he goes, I just want to bring value to everyone else. And he starts talking to everyone. It was like this crazy, like 10-minute exchange. And essentially, I forget what it was, but I'm like literally just forgetting because it was just such a cool moment. But I essentially pitched him, you know, like, can I come see you?
Yeah, you asked him about leadership. You asked him the contrast between management and leadership. He gave you an answer, and then you asked, can I, and then you asked an ask, which is not uncommon for folks that, you know, speak to Gary Vee, and say, can I come to New York and interview you or meet you or something like that? And he said yes, and it went from there.
So within 3 weeks, I was in his office. Well, here, let me tell you something about Gary Vaynerchuk. Because now every time I'm in New York, I go there because I create content for Claude Silver. So, and I've interviewed a CEO, his CFO. I interviewed the CEO of Vayner Speakers. Like I know him, and this is not like I'm cool. I'm just saying like these people are very interesting people. Like it's not a coincidence that I chose to interview them. Like I just interacted enough where I'm like, oh my God, like you are really down to earth, like incredibly helpful. D-Rock. I mean, like all these people are just like, hey, what's up? Like, you know, it's like this weird thing where I was like starstruck and I'm like, why am I starstruck? Like they're very normal people. So let me tell you, we had our one-on-one in his CFO at the time, James Orsini, his CFO's office. Why? Because there was people in his office doing work. Like you see his office, dude, someone other than him is in there 90% of the time working on some shit. Who needs some space. Claude Silver is the same way. Like, it's not uncommon for me to go meet her. She's like, oh, someone's using my office for a meeting. Like, they are so unselfish. It is unbelievable. Like, it is unbelievable. So I have this one-on-one with him, and I tell him, I'll have to publish it. But the first thing I said was, everyone said I better not screw this up, and I need to get to my ask right away. And I go, and here's what I want to tell you. I don't have an ask. I just want to say thank you. Like you have radically changed my life. And he's like, you're welcome, brother. He's like, you're welcome, brother. He's like, I'm glad you did that.
I can picture him saying that. Like, yeah.
He's like, he goes, you're speaking the truth. That's all I want. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, he's just so down to earth and ridiculous. So I told him, I go, here's my problem. I go, I lost a bunch of friends when I was serving. And this very much fits into what we're talking about or what the show is about. And I go, you know, leadership to me is so special, so important, so necessary. And I go, I loathe bad leaders, like at an extreme level. And he goes, and he interrupts me. He goes, that's your flaw. I go, what do you mean? He's like, you're judging them. He's like, don't judge them. He's like, just go 100% on the offense. He's like, be a good dude. Don't judge people. He's like, focus on what you got to do. And he goes, and crazy shit's going to happen. And dude, like he was so right. Like I didn't know that was this weird mental roadblock, and I didn't anticipate talking about that in our little meeting, but we did. And I'm just like, okay, who the fuck am I to be like, you suck as a leader. You have no idea what it's like. You have no idea what it's like to make life and death decisions. You have no idea what it's like to lose someone close to you. You have no idea how important it is to impact the people around you and make sure that they feel like their time with you is worthwhile, that they learned from you, that they enhanced their business acumen, that they took away leaders. Like, who am I? And I'm like, all right, so like, just stop judging. It doesn't mean like I need to like them, but I don't need to judge them.
Mm-hmm.
And that changed everything for me, man. Everything. And then ever since then, dude, I've just been like going freaking ham and just writing anybody and everybody and asking to interview leaders and interviewing entrepreneurs and just it's just been scaling. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Mindset is it's not only a key to success for for just life in general, but it's not uncommon for many folks in the military to moan and groan and gripe about everything. Decisions that are made, kit that you have, deployments that you're going on, conditions, whatever. Yep. It's kind of like it's kind of par for the course. But like you identified in the way that you were judging these leaders, it was a weight that was holding you down. It was a block that was preventing you from progressing. So when you dropped that, when you were able to mentally shift gears and stop looking at other people and judging them for what they weren't doing for you and focused on yourself and the things that you could do for yourself or value you could offer people around you, like, it's one thing to have somebody that you admire, like Gary Vaynerchuk or anybody for that matter, tell you those things. What happened for you on the day that you started implementing that? How did it feel, and how did it dramatically change your life?
I immediately had, dude, I'm hustling, man. So I had an interview. I was interviewing a CEO immediately after, downstairs outside in Hudson Yards, 10 Hudson Yards. It was freezing, and we talked for 2 hours. And her name is Sil Watts. She's CEO of Watts Next PX in New York. She moved from Australia to here because she was crushing it over there, and she's like, I want to test it out over here in New York in the biggest fucking pond. She's incredible. So we're talking.
I want to say I know that interview, or I've heard that, or a snippet of it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. She's certainly someone. She's amazing. So I did that. And here's what happened. I just had so much in common with her. Like, we really were speaking the same language. And I can't say I consciously have done anything that changed the trajectory of how I think necessarily, but I literally felt like he unhypnotized me. And now, instead of having like an always up bullshit detector kind of radar, I have this weird magnetism towards amazing people. And I'm not saying like I'm seeking them out. Like, it's just happening. I don't know how to explain it. Meaning, like, I'll just see something or someone online or, whatever. I'll reach out and we'll have an interview. And then what I always do at the end of my interviews is, can you introduce me to someone who does not do what you do, who you think would be a good interview? And dude, it's like, my interviewees are like batting 1,000. Like, the people the people they introduce me to, I'm like whatever. It's like one of these things where it's like, whatever story I have about myself that I think is like decent, like, these people just like freaking crush it with their stuff. I'm just like, wow. So what happens is this, Tony, is in this entrepreneurial venture journey, whatever you want to call it, I think what I realized that the most important thing is I now have the choice of who I want to surround myself with and who I want to talk to. And have you seen Happy Gilmore? Yeah, please tell me. Harness good, block bad. Harness good, block bad. Like, I literally like have this like force field that prevents me from being around fucking assholes. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't do anything, it's just kind of like all these people that I'm inviting into my life or that have invited me into their lives is literally completely uprooting what I thought life was when I got out, which was, I'm just going to have to put up with these bad leaders or whatever, people who don't have empathy and emotional intelligence. Now it's like, those are the only people I talk to. And it is just like this revelation that it's not as bad as you think. So veterans, like, this is a really important message, man. Like, you can find these people, you can associate with these people, and if you actually put the effort into connecting and networking, which I know we all hate to do, like, it actually it can happen, which is why we're talking right now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's crazy. Like, and
I
yeah,
remember. I remember. So at VidSummit, I've unfortunately I got sick at VidSummit, and I was like, but I wanted to be in that presentation, so I'm sitting there in the back, freezing my butt off, like whatever. And I'm sitting there, and I see you stand up, and you identify yourself, and you ask your question, and I'm immediately like, the first thing I think of is that I've got to find you. And I had met you just recently. You've posted some content
Yep.
and video bombed. I made a joke about that in a post
Yeah.
that Eric Wright had made. Eric Wright being the founder of Vets to PM. So I knew Eric Wright from before. I sought him out, knowing that he was at VidSummit. I sought him out and said, we need to find this guy. And because at the time I felt that you kind of like what you talked about, like you were needing help, you were looking for direction, you were looking for support in the community. And so I immediately sought Eric out. I said, we need to find this guy. And I wasn't able to find you, but he did. And as he said, he coined you. He gave you one of the Vets to PM coins, and started building that relationship. And it's come out in other interviews as far as a key ingredient to success, and that is the support network, the people that you surround yourself with. And as you mentioned, you have actively chosen to surround yourself with positive, supportive individuals that do nothing but add good energy, good potential, and positive reinforcement for you in the things that you're doing, as opposed to those who will sit on the sidelines and just pepper you with criticism about the circumstances, what you're doing, what you're not able to do, and so on.
Totally.
So first of all, I want to, as a guy who saw you at VidSummit and has seen the kind of the spectacular growth that you've gone through in this short period of time, congratulations, and it is well deserved.
Thank you, man.
But talking about the support and that network that you've built, tell me about the Veterans in Residency program. Previously, we had Rod Rodriguez on the show, and Rod spoke about it as well. I actually came across him because of a post that you made, and then searched out his content. And so, speak to us about first of all, how did you discover the program? How did you get involved? And how is it affecting your business and your entrepreneurial journey at this point?
We actually have our launch tonight. So not long after this, I'm gonna get my daughter, my wife, and then we're gonna go to DC, which is about an hour away, and we're gonna go do our launch party. So we're not even a month into it. But I found out about it through a very, very good friend of mine that we went to combat together. His name is Seth Jordan. I'm going to give you a list of 3 names after this of people that you need to have on this show, because I would lay down in traffic for that guy, man. Like, I almost get emotional talking about him because he cares on such a different level, but he's very much behind the scenes. I'm not behind the scenes because I really want people to see my face and hear what I have to say, because I know it could lead to me helping them. It's not about vanity, but he's different. Anyway, after he got out, he started a company called Dog Tag Brewing Company, and they started had a brewery in Montana, all this other stuff. Eventually he got acquired by a very big and well-known company. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, so I won't. And this company gave him an extremely large amount of money, but he stayed within the company. And what they allowed him to do is literally, because all the proceeds go to Gold Star families, so he just goes and visits Gold Star families. That's great. Like, it's like amazing. And let me even tell you, I wish I had one of the beer cans. Dog Tag Brewing Company had kind of had a dog tag on it and a helmet on top, but on the back was a picture, or I'm sorry, the name of a fallen soldier, Marine, sailor, and their name and about them, like letting the legacy continue. It's just incredible. So he posted something on LinkedIn. He's not super active on LinkedIn, and he wrote something about we work veterans and residents, and I was not necessarily aware of it. And I'm like, where's the link? Where's the link? Because he didn't include a link. He goes, here it is. So I'm like, okay. Oh, I was like, all right. I had no idea what it was. So I'm like, okay, so entrepreneurs get together, this and that. I'm like, okay, this sounds really, really interesting. And I'm like, for the momentum I had with my business, I'm like, this is only going to exacerbate that. So I applied, and so it's in 15 cities, 10 members in each city. And I'm like, okay, I'm in DC. Like, there's not a lot of veterans in DC. So I'm like, of course, the Pentagon's right here. Like, Jesus. I'm like, all right. So and it's powered by Bunker Labs. It's really important that I say that. It's powered by Bunker Labs, which is a ridiculously great nonprofit organization helping veterans become entrepreneurs or helping them explore entrepreneurial tendencies, so to speak. So I put in some calls to people I knew, and here's something I really need to make so incredibly crystal clear, is that I know I have a good reputation with anyone who I worked with or anyone who worked for me, so to speak, at Amazon, but anyone above me probably would give you like a freaking garbage review about me and who I am. But you know what? Like, they didn't see who I was, really. I was this freaking ambivalent, asshole, combative dude who didn't want to be there. And that's fine. But my veteran brothers and sisters know exactly who I am. So when I called some of these people in Bunker Labs in other cities, I'm like, hey, I don't know if you could make a recommendation or if you could kind of help highlight my profile, but here's what I'm doing. Like, I'm telling you, I'm going to be big. Things are happening. Like, it's going absolutely crazy. So I went to the kind of interview-ish session, met the people. I had a good feeling about the program itself, not necessarily like, oh, I think I'm in, but I was like, okay, like I actually want to do this. And then it's essentially a 6-month, and I got accepted, and it's a 6-month residency program where you have a space at WeWork for that duration of time, and you have 9 other tribe members who are in various stages of their whatever they're doing. We have someone who, she's a 24-year. That's my wife. Oh, that's not good. She's calling. Anyway, so we have this 24-year lieutenant colonel in the Army, and she's now a pastry chef, own business. Like, it's amazing. We have a 4-year Air Force technician who now teaches how to grow plants and all these things indoors, through different systems. Like, she loves it. She was into tech, but now she loves that. Like, it's amazing. So I'll tell you what it is not. It is not you go into WeWork 9 to 5 and people are there to help you. Like, it's literally you hone back in on your military skills and leverage each other's talents. So Rod, for example, I'm like, dude, my audio is terrible. He's like, here, let me walk you through this. And like, my head is spinning by the time he's like telling me. I'm like, Adobe what? He's like, audience. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, dude, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, there's this woman, Kim. She has one called Badges United, da 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 da, and they're starting their website. And I'm just like, oh, you got to do this, this, and this. You got to hit this, this, and this. Like, and she's like, what? You're blowing my mind. So we just literally try and help each other out and whatever. But we all have different schedules. This is a side gig for some people. Their entrepreneurial journey. For me, it's like my full-time everything. So, like, some people could go in at 10 and be there till 2 a.m. Some people could go in like me at 6 a.m. where I know it's not going to be too busy traffic-wise, and I'll stay there till 2. But I love the program because it is super diverse, like super diverse. Like, when we were on this group call on national orientation, like, you just see people of all races, ages, ideas. Like, it's not like just tech, it's just crazy. So I'm just going to get right into Project 150, if you don't mind.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, because you mentioned, you kind of teased it a bit in the sense that the Veterans in Residency program, 15 locations, 10 veterans in each location. So that's 150. Tell us more.
Project 150. So I interview people. I like to talk to people. I like to learn about people. And I was just like, like, why don't I just interview everyone that's, on this journey in 150 days? But that shit costs money, so I need to raise money. So I'm in the process of making the website, which was on my to-do list today, and that was on my to-do list yesterday, and I just keep getting swamped with other stuff. But what I want to do, Tony, is just capture who these people are in 15 minutes. Not this long interviews like this. I would love that, but like that would be editing hell for me. So I want to talk about them, talk about their business, talk about their service in 15 minutes. And I went to New York and I did 4 of them, and I was like blown away, like just blown away. Military family entrepreneurs and veteran entrepreneurs are just like you're talking what, like 1% of the population has ever served, right? Now you're really stacking the deck on yourself by being like, and I'm going to be an entrepreneur now. Like, dude, are you nuts? Like, so I love it. And I'm just like, this is what I have to do. Like, it's like a calling almost. And I'm just like, I'm going to go talk to all these people. I'm going to go to Chicago. I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to go to San Diego. I'm going to go to Austin. I'm going to sit down and talk to them, and I'm going to get it on camera. And I want to make sure that their story lives on YouTube and whatever. Now, here's the thing. 99% of us could completely fail, and some of us might succeed, but like, at least you have that to look back on and be like, I didn't know what I was doing then, but I know now. It could be 2 years later and it could be a huge pivot, or it could be like Flybysmedia explodes and and I could look back on some of my time or whoever interviews me and just be like, wow, my brain was all over the place. Now I really kind of niched down. I do this. I never edit anymore. I have this, and I realized what was taking away from my productivity or what I really want to do, which is I just want to be able to go in and sit and talk to the person. I don't want to have to worry about the light. I don't want to have to worry about the sound, all that stuff. Yeah. Like, but that's my goal. And I think it's so important because what I don't want for veterans is this. I mean this like so deeply from the bottom of my heart. And I don't want transitioning service members or veterans to get into a job, be like, this sucks, go to another job. They're like, nope. And then you've bounced around job to job, which people think is like the worst thing on earth. But like, dude, we're like getting reborn when we get out. It's completely normal. But what I don't want is for anyone to just feel like they've wasted time, and if highlighting some of these entrepreneurs may help them actually take their idea seriously, then good. Like, then test the market. Like, give it a shot. Like, if you want to climb the corporate ladder, fine, good. Like, dude, you will have support. And hopefully you find the right support. But you could also test the market and just see, like, you know what? Like, I've always wanted to have a drive-through pizza place. I don't know. I mean, like, I have no idea. But if I wanted to be that guy, maybe some of these interviews with the realness that accompanies them, because no one knows what they're doing, man. We're all just trying to survive. We're all just trying to do it and just follow what we want to do. Maybe that'll be the thing that is the catalyst in them actually pursuing it. And that's what I want.
You, so Project 150 for you is basically an extension of the Flybysmedia kind of business plan. And you're going to use that as a way to highlight other veterans and the businesses that they are starting or running.
Exactly.
How does that? So obviously that helps veterans. It helps the members of the Veterans and Residency program. But for you, growing as this content producer, this person who is very aware of brand fitness, and I guess, so relating it back to Flybysmedia, being the interviewer of these leaders, these C-suite executives, and now, of course, the veterans and residents, how does your work today target in on either building from scratch, refurbishing or polishing up someone or some company's or organization's brand? Like how do you dial in on that? Because this is something, of course, that you'll be doing in your interviews with the veterans and residents. This is what you do with your corporate clients, and this is what you do effectively with those interviews, those C-suite executives that you interview. So, can you maybe dial it in for us as to how that works?
Yeah. So I'll just tell you what the intent is and why I believe it to be true and why I think I'm going to be very right. I just don't think that people are interested in what you're trying to sell them, what your services are, what your product is, as much as they are interested in people, which is why I make it a point when I interview the leaders to not talk about, all the positions they've had or how much money they make or, all this stuff. Like, I can go online at any time I want and find out about your business, because you're going to have a business page, or if you're a Forbes 100 company, you're going to have your massive business page, and you're going to have your completely horseshit testimonials, and there's going to be some really very rigid picture of someone smiling, acting like it's candid, but it's not candid. And it's going to be like, Tony started here 4 years ago and he's worked his way up to senior VP and da 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 da. And then there's going to be a quote from you being like, Flybysmedia changed my life, whatever it is. So I'm not into that. My suspicion is that a lot of us are not into that. What we're doing, like, dude, I can't wait to see you at VidSummit now. Like, we've been texting and writing emails and all this other stuff. It is zero substitute when we actually interact for how it is when we actually interact. And now I'm like, I cannot wait to have a drink with this dude. Like, this is going to be so fun and whatever. It's the same thing. So what I encourage people who are new to the game and people who are in the game and people who are in the game and doing terrible is to really think about how it is the people in the company that makes the difference. So if someone happens to see this interview and they're like, wow, Rich is pretty good to go, and maybe they just catch a part of me talking about high school or my service or whatever, and they don't know anything about Flybysmedia yet, they might be more inclined to consume Flybysmedia content or to maybe hire me to help fix their brand because they actually think I'm a decent person. Because I've heard them speak, I've watched them talk, I've been able to kind of tabulate how they actually feel about things or the world or about service or about whatever. So for the veteran entrepreneurs, it's like, hey man, like, just talk about you. Like, yeah, of course I want to know about your business. Like that has to be part of the intent for this specific project. But like, just make sure your brand's intact. And let me make a very, very big point. Like, someone yesterday wrote this. I saw this thing on LinkedIn, this 2-minute thing about someone talking about your personal brand and how much you have to work on it and what it is and your value proposition. I'm like, you shouldn't have to work on your personal brand. Like, your personal brand is just who you are. You're just putting it on blast. Like, you're just putting what's in here out there. That's your personal brand. Like, it should not be something you have to work at unless like you got some really shitty things going on and like, I don't know what, like you have a drinking problem, like, you could potentially document that, but not if you're trying to run a business per se. But anyway, people want to know you. Okay, so this one company that approached me, this is the awesome guy, veteran, talked to me about his company, and he's like, yeah, we're kind of boring at the top. I'm like, all right. And I was like, I agree. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, that's what I do, man. Like, I'm able to unwrap and just humanize you, make you relatable. And then maybe that is the difference maker from all this PR'd to death, your communications person telling you this is how it should go, where's it going to be distributed. Like, if you just allow it to be real, I think that is going to be the game changer. I think that is going to attract the people you want to work for you. More importantly, if I want to work for company B and I see some of the interviews and maybe I'm like, I thought I wanted to work there, but like, I'm not necessarily aligned with some of those leaders. And it doesn't mean you don't need to, it doesn't mean you dislike them. Maybe you're just not aligned. But I really like Tony and like some of the stuff he's got going on. That interview blew me away. Maybe I'm willing to work for him for free or edit his stuff or whatever, be a sound guy or sound girl or whatever, because there was some sort of emotional connection that took place because of a video and because of someone helping them just be them. That's what I do, and that's what I think is the way it is. That's really what I think is the future.
When I hear you speaking like that, it makes me think of Gary Vaynerchuk and
Yeah.
some of the things that he's espoused about authenticity and being, the like you were saying, the real you. It makes me think of like the difference between a brand new product straight out of the package, which is like, polished and perfect and what have you, versus, an antique. They may, or like a custom car. So you could go and buy a brand new car and that's great. But if you get that 57 Chevy or whatever your classic car of choice may be, you get that car and it has a story behind it. It has a history, and it has a wealth of value above and beyond just what you can see on the surface. And essentially, that is what you're talking about. You're talking about, there's a person in a position, they're a CEO. Their CEOs are a dime a dozen, but it's that person, the characteristics, the story, the traits that make that person the individual, that make that person a specific person of value, because you can listen to their story, you can relate with them, you can identify with the struggles that they're going through, and then see, how they're able to overcome and add value, not only for you, for your experience engaging in that, but in your context, they add value to the brand. They add value to the company. They add value and relatability to whatever it is they're working on. And
and let me give you. I'm sorry, I want to give you a really quick example that popped up.
Yeah.
Pat Flynn. So he was. So I interviewed him, and that was crazy, like how I got that to happen. But we were in our interview, and he told me about his son who started a YouTube channel, and he's like, his last thing got 10,000 views. I'm like, I will never get to 10,000 views. But I was like, I was laughing. I was just like, wow. But he made this like kind of fort. And he like really kind of tricked it out. His son is like a cardboard fort, and he put lights on it and like a keypad, and it was really, really cool. So he got an absolutely terrible, despicable comment, like something that was either a teenager or an adult wrote that could destroy a kid and make them fearful.
Mm-hmm.
So Pat's telling me this, and he goes, so my son came up and told me about this comment, and my son goes, I really hope that person's okay. I feel bad for them. Like, he flipped that shit. Like, he didn't look at it like, and I'm like, and that to me is not just like he just inherently did that. That's because of the type of father that Pat is. And I know this to be true because he talks about his kids, because they're on his Instagram and all this other stuff. That is something that you're not going to get on his website. Do you know what I mean? Like, that says everything. And that story, like, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. Like, thinking, I have a 2-year-old daughter, 2.5-year-old daughter. I'm like, if she ever had a YouTube channel, someone wrote something like that, like, how would she react, or how would I react, or whatever. And it was just like this amazing moment where he said, and so we had a conversation about it. And I was like, that says everything I need to know about who you are. I already knew, but like, that just like affirms it 100%. So that's why I do what I do, man. Like, it's just more than what you're doing and what you've done or what you have to offer.
Well, if people are looking to reach out and contact you and engage the services of Flybysmedia, or maybe they are a C-suite executive and they're looking to reach out to you to have you speak to them, how can they do so?
The easiest way right now is, so I just finally am getting the domain back for flybysmedia.com. But for now, it's Flybysmedia, FLYBYS media @gmail.com. You could also go to richcardona.net. You will find articles I've written for Thrive Global. You will have links to my YouTube videos. You will see all the people I've interviewed thus far, where I've appeared and all that kind of stuff as well. Instagram is Flybysmedia, Facebook is Flybysmedia, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I am absolutely happy to help anyone, anywhere, explore painting their leadership picture in the light that it really belongs, number one. And if you are a veteran who needs anything, this is actually more important than me monetizing on my business. If you need anything, or you're not in a good place, or you need advice, and I'm sure Tony's the same way, like, just hit us up. We're on LinkedIn, we're everywhere. It's so important that you realize you're not going through this alone. Like, you get out and you're like, you have this rough exterior where you believe that you're so capable, that I served this long, that I got this. You don't got it, like, period. All right. Like, just get over it and just start asking for the help you need. Start surrounding yourself with the people, or with people that will complement you, or complement your abilities and your strengths, and help you get to the next level. But reach out anytime if you have a veteran related question, transition question. I will do everything in my power to help.
It's all about the support network. Rich, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you.
Well, everybody, that was fantastic. Thank you so much to Rich for coming out on Getting to Hired. If you are looking to contact Rich, the links to his email and website and LinkedIn profile, all that will be down below in the show notes. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now.